On Whitesnake's album Ready and Willin', we have bass player Neil Murray. I mean, Neil Murray is legendary. I mean, he's played with Whitesnake, obviously, Gary Moore, Clapton, of course, Black Sabbath. But he also played 12 years on the We Will Rock You West End musical. I am super curious about his bass tone. Now, I've been reading on bass forums, I've been trying to figure out how does he get this sound, because I would really like to have a bass or the equipment equivalent so that I can get the sound that he has got on this record. So if there's anyone out there of you guys who are watching this video that knows how he got this sound, or even if I'm super lucky, maybe Neil Murray himself will answer in this on this video in the comments below. I would really hope so. But yeah, if any one of you guys know how he got this sound, please let us know in the comments below. Now, linked in the description below, you will find a link to a Basschat. That's a basschat.co.uk, which is a forum for bass players. And I don't think you will, I mean, this was when I was trying to figure out how he got this sound. So I was Googling Neil Murray, bass tone, Whitesnake, Ready and Willin'. And then this forum comes up and I started reading through it. And then amazingly, someone tagged Neil Murray on this bass forum. And guess what? He replied. So I'm going to link this forum in the description below, and I would encourage all of you to read through, because you can hear from the man himself, 8th of December 2020. He is telling some really personal stories about his life on the road and about what he thinks of the future and even just the equipment that he used. And I'm going to read you some of what he wrote on the forum, because even though he is really detailed and really knows his craft about the equipment that he used, I still don't know for sure which of the gear that he used on this record. But like I know now, the record is from 1980, and he's saying something about after 1978, I was only using one bass. But yeah, let me read through this. Soon after joining Whitesnake in early 1978, I needed to change from the mid-heavy tone of the EB3 or J bridge humbucker to a more full sound, so I started using the P pickup. At this time, and in Colosseum 2, I was using flat wounds for more definition. The treble of round wounds was swamped by guitars, cymbals, etc. So he's very cautious of how he can cut through the mix with all the other elements in the album. And that is something that you can really hear from this record. Later with Whitesnake, I changed to La Bella quarter rounds, then La Bella hard rocking steel, but wasn't very satisfied by the tonal difference between the two halves of the pickup. I discovered there was a type of replacement pickup, Mighty Might I think, which had a single pole piece under each string, like Sandberg's today, so the coil size wasn't as wide as in regular P pickups, so I could shave the end of the bobbins and put two coils side by side, similar to the two coils in the D Marcio J pickups. I made a cover with two pickups, 4 coils underneath, and wired it so I could try the various combinations. Until halfway through 1978, it was my only bass, and to make changes to my gear required me to make modifications to that one, as I couldn't afford to buy new instruments. I discovered that I preferred the sound of the coils wired in reverse P configuration, which wasn't a thing then, though Yamaha started doing basses like this soon after. So that's how the bass was when that photo was taken. I used it on the Whitesnake Snakebite EP and Trouble LP, though through a mic'd up PV cab and no DI. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would deeply appreciate it if you do. Now, this is a channel where we are only talking about bass players and how the bass is impacting the music and how we should get more recognition, but also trying to figure out new ways for bass players to play with other vocalists or in different combinations. So please, if you are a bass player or interested in bass, please subscribe to my channel. I would deeply appreciate it. I just find this so extraordinary. He's like almost like a electrician. How he what's it called, solders, using soldering to replace pickups and checking out different combinations to figure out the sound that he wanted. Not only just change strings. I can only speak for myself, but I don't ever touch and change pickups. I would never dare to do. I would never open up the bass and dare to change the pickups and stuff in case I was destroying it. He's replying on this bass forum that he really knows his stuff and are really interested in it. But the fact that he used a bass with a reversed P configuration with flat wound strings and through a mic'd up PV cab and no DI on the Snake Bite EP and Trouble LP for Whitesnake. I both think and hope that that is what he has on this record as well. Since that was from 1978 and this was published in 1980, then I think that we might have our answer there, but I'm not completely sure. Now, for those of you who don't know, this LP here is having the amazingly recognized Fool for Your Loving song, along with my personal favorite, Ready and Willin'. And I really want to add this at the end of the video, that there are so many bass players out there, and I mean other musicians as well, who are only focusing about playing and copying other bass players on the tracks that they played. And Neil Murray in this bass forum is actually saying it really well, and which I find incredible, and I want more people to hear it, and that's why I'm saying it in the end of this video, that bass players in particular are almost never playing along in a band with another bass player, right? We are usually the only bass player in the band. So to be able to play a song identical to when you recorded it, or to another bass player when they recorded it, is both not needed and I think also not encouraged, because you're not adding anything of yourself, of your own playing to the song. And a lot of people are asking him in particular to do another version of Fool for Your Loving, and ask him, Neil Murray himself, to play exactly the same way as he did in the recording. And Neil Murray says it really well. At the time when he recorded Fool for Your Lovin', he will probably never reach that level of stamina ever again, because right after the recording of this, he had to do a surgery on his hand for overplaying. You can also hear it in his playing, which he also says himself, is that he was so eager to impress and to play a lot and to play great. So for him, he rather recorded 2 full run-throughs with much of improvisation and a lot of energy, and playing maybe more than he would now in hindsight. But he rather played 2 of those, and you can mix between them too, rather than playing composed and practice parts, because you lose something very valuable, especially in rock music. You lose something very valuable if you just play something that you've practiced and something that you've really studied over time, and not playing with the music. He actually says it himself that he would never be able to play it just like that when he did it in recording. But in the end of this chat, you will find a link of his very own transcribe version of Fool for Your Loving, as close as he think he could get it right now. So if you're interested in playing the best version of Fool for Your Loving, then I encouraged you to check out that bass forum linked in the description below. Go to the very end and find Neil Murray's very own transcription. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great start for the 2023 year. For the love of bass, and thank you again. Yeah, see you next video.